this session we are going to deal about caste system. The basic features of Indian society. If you talk about the basic features of Indian society, one of the prime features of our society is this caste system. Okay, there are other societies which do have this kind of a stratification or this kind of a hierarchical arrangement, but as a matter of fact, caste is somewhat typical to India, and the features are somewhat typical to India, which are not in existence in any other form of society or as a matter of fact in any other country. Okay, so this section I have divided it into various sections, around 11 sections it is. Okay, first it is that the origin of the term, the caste system, the etymology is with regarding to the origin of any term. Okay, and a brief introduction about the caste system or the caste. Okay, next I am going to talk about the caste system in India, and I will try to trace the origins of the caste system in India. Okay, and in the same section we will also talk about the differences between caste or jati and varna. Okay, next I will tell about the studies on caste system. See, the studies on caste system is quite important because Indian feature or the basic feature of Indian society is caste system, and there are only a few people who had studied this caste system in detail. So it is our need to learn the books in which they have framed a few words or in which they have studied about the caste system. I will just give you an introduction of the names of the books of the key and important people. There are only 5 or 6 important people, not more than that. So that I will tell you. And then I will speak about the characters of the caste system. The Indian caste system, as I have told you, it is typical in nature with regard to a few particular characters which we are going to introduce here. And then I will talk about the functions of the caste system. Most of you might have observed that or might have been having a feeling that caste system is only having disadvantages and it doesn't have any advantage. Caste system having only disadvantages is the study of a normal guy or a normal person. But when you want to be a socialist or when you want to study society in a broad-minded aspect, then you have to know both the functions and also the advantages and the disadvantages of the caste system, which I will deal about later. Fine. Then I am going to talk about the changes in the caste system and the dominant society or dominant caste in the society. So changes in the caste system, as you all know, caste system is an ancient concept. When caste system is an ancient concept, it is not in existence even till today what it was in the ancient setup. Okay, right now the caste system is something different when we compare it with the caste system in the ancient India or if, as a matter of fact, even in the medieval India. Fine. Next I will talk about the dominant caste. Dominant caste I will explain you. Okay. Next we will talk about Brahmanization, Sanskritization and Desanskritization. The terms are not much important in this slide, in the introduction part. When I come to the slide, I will definitely explain you. And then we will talk about the impact of modernization and westernization on this caste system. That's what, sorry. While I relate this one to this concept, the concept of changes in the caste system, I relate it with westernization and modernization. And then in this topic itself, I will talk about caste system in Telangana, because every topic which we are dealing with regard to the salient features of Indian society, there is a resemblance of that particular topic even in Telangana. Okay, so rather than learning all those topics in a crude way, okay, we can learn this caste system in Telangana itself or Telangana specific issues which are there in these broad topics, like say for example the tribal setup in Telangana. That is also there as a topic for you. Okay, that will be dealt in tribal setup or a tribal setup chapter, wherein you will learn both about India and also about the Telangana system, right? So that way you will have a continuity rather than having a break and taking up this part again. So that way you will have continuity. And to start with, I will just start away with this caste term etymology. What I am talking about, etymology is what I am talking about, the origin of the word. The caste or the word caste came from casta. This word not quite important to you, but this origin is important. It came from Portuguese and Spanish dictionaries. It came from, it is an origin of Portuguese and Spanish dictionaries, wherein these people have referred to caste system first in the new world, that is the Western world, which is based mainly on color aspect. Okay, this caste system was mainly based on color aspect, and it is the Portuguese and the Spanish people who had introduced this term called casta the first. Okay, and if you look at the standard textbooks, it says that the originator of the term casta is Garcia de Orta. Garcia de Orta, he is the originator of the term casta is Garcia de Orta in the year 1563. But as per the standard definition, the Oxford English Dictionary, it says that was the originator of the term casta is John Minshew. Please follow this one, not this one. Okay, because although it is given, but as per the standard textbook or as per the international standards, it is John Minshew. Minshew, it is SHEU. Okay, John Minshew, it is John Minshew. This person has mentioned about the term called casta in his Spanish dictionary in the year 1599. Both are important. John Minshew is important, and also the year 1599 is important, wherein he had mentioned about the existence of lineage, the existence of color domination in the Western world. Okay, now coming to the castes in India, every caste or for that matter every particular hierarchical setup has, just give me a second, I'll explain you with an example. Yes, the caste system in India, first it came up as 3, okay, later it grew into 4, and then it grew into 5 structured hierarchy, and later or with the evolution of time, these things have grown among themselves. Okay, these things have grown among themselves like this, and there is a mention of each subcaste within various castes, like the Malas, the Madigas. Okay, Malas are also belonging to the scheduled caste, and Madigas are also belonging to the scheduled caste, but they both are quite different, and when they are compared with this profession, with their profession, they are quite different. Fine. So this way, and these subdivisions which I am drawing here, they are called as subcastes. Okay, so obviously you might be knowing from this picture that the number of castes is obviously less than the number of subcastes. So if that is the case, our sociologists say that there are around 6,000 castes in India, and there are around 25,000 subcastes among these 6,000 castes. Fine. So the numbers are not quite important. I am just giving you an introduction about the term called caste and subcaste. Okay. Now I will talk about this family, surname, gotra, subcaste and caste. As I have told you, castes, they are arranged in hierarchical form, and subcaste, it is within that caste there are various subcaste or subgroups, and within each subgroup there are various gotras. About gotras we will talk about in kinship relationships. Okay, and within those gotras we will have various surnames. Okay, and with that surname we have various families. Just an example, I've told you one particular caste might have various subcastes, like say for example, I'll take up the Brahmins. Okay, I'll take up the Brahmins, and Brahmins, there are cooks in them, there are priests in them. Priests, there are again for deaths, and there are for births, there are for marriages, right? And there are barbers for them. Okay, and there are agriculturists among them. Okay, ante oka Brahmin caste lo తీసుకుంటే there are various subcastes which are called by various names. Just an example, Pandits. Pandits ne Sharmas antar, right? And Shastris antar. Okay, Acharyulu. Fine, only a few names to be given. Okay, ante oka Brahmin caste lo inni subcaste unnayandi. So in these subcastes again they will have various gotralu untai. Okay, gotras mainly they they feel their origin is to a particular guy or a particular ancestor. Okay, that I will tell you again, don't worry. Okay, there are various gotras. Okay, malli okoka gotralo, like say for example, in each gotra there are various surnames, each surname, like say for example, if we consider the surname, say let the surname be Badipati, or yes, let the surname be Badipati. Okay, Badipati, and this surname, there is no guarantee that with my surname I have only one family of mine. Okay, there might be various families. There might be various families which are residing in various places. So this is each a family. Family it is. Fine. So taking up the setup, first it is the castes, then it is the subcastes, and then it is the gotras, and then it is the surnames, and then it is the individual families. So ila caste hierarchy anedi run avutundi. This right, this hierarchy is important for you. Okay, first vachesi caste, next vachesi subcaste. Okay, first it is caste, next it is subcaste, tarvata gotra anedi vastundamma, and then it is surname, and last it is family. Family is the minutest form to carry any caste name. Okay, caste పేరు క్యారీ చేయడానికి ఇండివిజువల్ కాదు, it is family. Okay, please note down, family is the minute or single unit అంటారు దాన్ని, or single unit to carry caste name. It is not an individual, it is a family. Please do remember, it is a family who is or which will carry the name of the individual. Sorry, it is the family which carries the name of the caste. It is not an individual, it is a caste. Okay, it is a family, right? Later I will move on to, yes, later I will move on to this caste system in India. If we look at the standard textbooks, there are various definitions about how the caste system has evolved. The caste system or evolution of the caste system is a Pandora box even till today. Pandora box ante which has secrets in it. Adi open cheyandi and open avvandi. Okay, so aa vidhanga chusukunte caste system in India or caste system yokka origin in India anedi kanipettaleru. Ippudu daaka kanipettaledu evaru. But there are a few proposals or there are a few books which are written, and there are a few concepts which are written with regarding to this caste system, not quite important to us. But what we have to learn is the roots for this caste system are Manusmriti and Purusha Sukta of Rigvedas. Purusha Sukta of Rigvedas, it is important, and Manusmriti, these are the two roots, important roots of caste system. It came in the year 5500 to 1500 or 1500 to 500 BCDs. Fine, this is important. But what is seen is during the Rigvedic periods, before the Rigvedic periods it was Brahmins, it was Kshatriyas, and it was no Vaishyas, but it was the Vis ani pilchevallu. Vis ante common people. So if you are asked a question that what is the number of varnas or what is the number of castes at the earliest time, it is 3. Okay, 3 is the answer, it is not 4. Please do remember, it is 3. The answer is 3. Fine. Okay, వాళ్ళ categorization koste Brahmins, the priests, Kshatriyas, the kings. Okay, Kshatriyas, the kings, and it is the Vis అని పిలుస్తారు వీళ్ళని. వీళ్ళ కామన్ మెన్, అంటే they include merchants, they include traders, they include everyone else. Fine. So this is the categorization of the caste system during the earliest period, right? Yes, this diagram I have just drew in order to make you or familiar with this, what this Purusha Sukta and what this Manusmriti tells about our caste system or our Varna system. Okay, Manusmriti and Rigvedas, they say that the caste system or for that matter the Varna system has originated from a person who is called as Vitara Purusha. వితర పురుష అనే ఒక దేవుడు, అంటే దేవుడికి ఇచ్చిన పేరు వితర పురుష అండి. వితర పురుష నుంచి 4 కాస్ట్లు ఆరిజినేట్ అయినాయి అని చెప్పి వాళ్ళు చెప్తారనమాట. ఫస్ట్ వచ్చేసి నోటి నుంచి బ్రాహ్మిన్స్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ షోల్డర్స్, ఇవి దీస్ ఆర్ షోల్డర్స్. ఓకే, షోల్డర్స్ నుంచి క్షత్రియాస్ వచ్చారు, అండ్ థైస్ నుంచి వైశ్యాస్ వచ్చారు, శూద్రాస్ ఫీట్ నుంచి వచ్చారు, కాళ్ళ దగ్గర నుంచి పాదాల దగ్గర నుంచి శూద్రులు వచ్చారు. ఓకే, ఇలాగే మనుస్మృతి మను తన మనుస్మృతిలో చెప్తాడనమాట. అండ్ మనుస్మృతి ఈజ్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ ఈస్ టాక్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ గురు టు భృగు. భృగు అంటే స్టూడెంట్స్, డిసైపుల్స్ అనమాట. ఓకే, సో మను వాళ్ళ భృగుస్తో చెప్పుకుంటా బాబు క్యాస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది ఇలా ఆరిజినేట్ అయింది. క్యాస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ హ్యాస్ ఆరిజినేటెడ్ లైక్ దిస్, అండ్ వితర పురుష ఈజ్ ది గాడ్ ఫ్రమ్ వేర్ వీ హ్యావ్ గాట్ ఆల్ దీస్ కాస్ట్స్ అని చెప్పేసి చెప్పాడు. Fine. After this, let me just talk to you about the type of or the reasons for changed caste system. For rigidity, reasons for rigidity and chepdam. Okay, this we will call as reasons for rigidity. Fine. You all might have seen, or you all might have known that even during the Indus Valley civilization there was hierarchical arrangement of these castes or these people, mainly class based undedi. That is citadels అనేవి ఉండేవి. Citadels wherein people who are of upper echelon they will stay in the upper hierarchy, and people who are of the lower echelon they will stay in the lower hierarchy. Fine. ఈ విధంగా ఇండస్ వ్యాలీ సివిలైజేషన్ నుంచి ఉంది. బట్ at a later period of time, with the emergence of Aryans and with the emergence of Alexander and with the emergence of Muslims, this caste system has got more and more strengthened. దానికి రీజన్స్ ఏంటి అంటే, ఫస్ట్, before that let me give you an introduction about the caste system or the class system. The difference between caste and class, this is important. Okay, just to have a conceptual clarity. Class ante when a person is, or when the person has this kind of accommodation or this kind of respect to him as an achievement. Ippudu say for example, take of the example of mine. So my father may be a farmer. Okay, his class is farming class. I am a student or I am a faculty member. Okay, so my class is faculty class. So I have grown from my father's stage of my father's class of a farmer to the class of faculty. There is a push, and this I have done it through achievement, chadukoni or else kastapadi. Okay, this way I have done it. Next I will talk about the caste. Caste is ascribed andi. Please note down this name. Ascribed, it is important. Ascribed, it is important. Ascribed ante through birth ochindi. Say for example, na caste or else my father caste edu untundo adi naaku vastundi. The same way with all the people. Okay, all the people who are staying in India, their father's caste will come to them. That is ascribed in nature. The respect also is the same in the traditional village setup. The respect is also the same. Fine. So that is the difference between class and caste. And another difference is class, one class person, say for example this is the hierarchy in the class system, and this is the hierarchy in the caste system. One class person can marry the class person of another class. పై క్లాస్లో ఉన్నవాడు కింద క్లాస్లోనా, లేకపోతే కింద క్లాస్లో ఉన్నామే పై క్లాస్లో వాడిని మ్యారేజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. బట్ ఇక్కడికి వస్తే ఒక కాస్ట్లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళే ఇంకో క్లాస్లో వాళ్ళని మ్యారేజ్ చేసుకోవాలి. దేర్ ఆర్ స్పెసిఫిక్ నేమ్స్ గివెన్ టు దిస్ దట్ ఐ విల్ టాక్ ఇన్ మ్యారేజ్ సిస్టమ్. ఓకే, ఎక్సోగేమి ఎండోగేమి అంటారు. దిస్ ఈస్ ఎక్సో విత్ రిగార్డ్ టు caste and this is endo with regard to caste. Exo is with regard to the class. Caste. Okay, so endo is with regard to the caste, exo is with regard to the class. Wherein exogamy అంటే నేను వేరే caste అమ్మాయిని పెళ్లి చేసుకోవడానికి కుదరదు. ఓకే, దాన్ని ఎండోగేమీ అంటారు. ఎక్సోగేమీ అంటే నేను వేరే క్యాస్ట్ అమ్మాయిని ఆర్ వేరే క్లాస్ అమ్మాయిని, నా క్లాస్కి సంబంధించిన వాళ్ళు కాకుండా వేరే వాళ్ళని నేను పెళ్లి చేసుకోవడానికి ఎలిజిబిలిటీ ఉంది, సొసైటీ పర్మిట్ చేస్తుంది. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ as exogamy. Okay, I repeat, exogamy is when the society permits me to marry someone who is not of my particular class or my particular caste, okay, or my particular division. Fine. While endogamy is wherein the society doesn't allow me to marry someone who is outside my class or outside my division. So that is the difference between exogamy and endogamy. While the class system entertains exogamy, exogamy is allowed in class system, but caste system it is not allowed. This is the conceptual difference between class and caste. Please try to note it down. And this term ascribed is quite important. Achieved and ascribed is quite important. You might find a question that which of these are in the form of true or false of a particular statement, that caste system is associated with ascribed values or caste system is associated with ascribed respect. Okay, is it true or not? If that is the case, it is true. But class is not associated with ascribed, it is associated with achieved. Okay, something which I achieve or which I grab, okay, irrespective of my birth. నేను ఎవరికి ఏ caste లో పుట్టినా సరే I will grab it or I will achieve it through my hard work. Fine. So that is the difference between caste system and class system. Okay, yes. And these reasons for rigidity, earlier in the Indus Valley civilization it was a class system andi. Although they had divisions between Brahmins, Kshatriyas and the common men, okay, but our time lo class system undedi. Like they used to have interdining and inter-class marriage. Rigidity ఉండేది కాదు. ఓకే, రిజిడిటీ అనేది ఉండేది కాదు. నేను ఒక ఫార్మర్కి పుట్టాను అంటే ఐ మే బి ఏ ప్రీస్ట్ ఆర్ ఐ మే బికమ్ ఏ పాపర్. నేను ప్రీస్ట్ అయినా అవ్వచ్చు లేకుంటే ఒక బెగ్గర్నైనా అవ్వచ్చు. దట్ ఈస్ క్వైట్ డిఫరెంట్. ఓకే, మై ఫాదర్ బీయింగ్ ఏ ఫార్మర్, I may turn up to be a farmer, I might turn up to be a Brahmin, I might turn out to be a Kshatriya, a king. Okay, that is class system. Achievement based it is. Fine. Next, exogamy అనేది వాళ్ళల్లో పర్మిటెడ్. అంటే ఒకవేళ అమ్మాయికి అబ్బాయికి ఇష్టం అయితే దే కెన్ ఈవెన్ మ్యారీ దెమ్ ఫ్రమ్ అవుట్ సైడ్ దేర్ క్లాస్. ఓకే, ఒక క్లాస్లో నుంచి ఇంకో క్లాస్కి ఈజీగా మూవ్ అవ్వచ్చు. దాన్ని మొబిలిటీ అంటారు. అచీవ్మెంట్ బేస్డ్ ఉంది కాబట్టి, సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీరు బై బర్త్ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఎ ఫార్మర్ and if you have worked very hard in learning those Vedas and those scriptures, ancient scriptures, then you might turn up to be a Brahmin, right? Okay, or else you are born a Brahmin and you did not learn or you were not motivated to learn this and you have taken up business, trading business. Okay, so that way you will come up in the Vis or the common people or the Vaishyas. ఓకే, సో ఈ విధంగా ఎక్సోగమీ పర్మిట్ అవుతుంది, మొబిలిటీ పర్మిట్ అవుతుంది, అండ్ ఆల్సో క్లాస్ స్ట్రక్చర్ అనేది ఎగ్జిస్ట్ అయింది. ఆ తర్వాత లేటర్ వేదిక్ పీరియడ్లోకి వచ్చేసరికి క్యాస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది రిజిడ్ అయిపోయింది. అంటే నేను ఒక క్యాస్ట్ నుంచి ఇంకో క్యాస్ట్కి కదలడానికి లేదు, అస్క్రైబ్డ్ స్టేటస్ ఉంటుంది. పుట్టినప్పుడు బ్రాహ్మణ్ అయితే చనిపోయేదాకా బ్రాహ్మణే, పుట్టినప్పుడు శూద్రుని అయితే చనిపోయేదాకా శూద్రుండే. ఫైన్, దిస్ ఈస్ ది సిస్టమ్. నెక్స్ట్, ఎక్సోగమీ అనేది లేదు. నేను ఒకవేళ అప్పర్ కాస్ట్ అబ్బాయిని అయితే లోవర్ కాస్ట్ అమ్మాయిని చేసుకోవడం పర్మిటెడ్, బట్ లోవర్ కాస్ట్ అబ్బాయిని అయితే అప్పర్ కాస్ట్ అమ్మాయిని చేసుకోవడం పర్మిటెడ్ కాదు. When I am a person from a lower caste, I have to marry only the person of my caste, not the person of upper caste. Okay, fine. So this caste rigidity has grown after the later Vedic period and with the ancient India. The reasons are, first it is the Aryans who had emerged. I am talking about early Vedic period and the ancient India as a whole. Okay, Aryans, because in this I will give you one typical reason which you might not be knowing. Aryans one, and then it is the invasion of Alexander the Great. This is what I was talking about. Alexander the Great. This is what I was talking about. Next, it is the Smriti writers. Fine. So the invasion of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was called by one of the Indian kings, okay, in order to fight his enemies. Okay, and when this Alexander the Great has come with his soldiers who were mainly men, these soldiers were marrying women from our castes. Okay, so our landlords or our priests have thought that by this way our blood is getting polluted, and they have found that one of the basic ways in order to reduce this pollution of our blood is only by not allowing them to marry any other person and only allowing them to marry only from their particular caste. సో దీని పరంగా కాస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది చాలా రిజిడ్ చేసి తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఫైన్. నెక్స్ట్ దిస్ ప్రితి రైటర్స్ లైక్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అవర్ మనుస్మృతి or even the Aryabhatta, sorry, not the Aryabhatta but Kautilya. Okay, Kautilya's Arthashastra. Fine. So these two are important books. These two are important books which had contributed to rigidity of the caste system. Arthashastra, Manusmriti. Okay, Manusmriti and Arthashastra are two quite important books which had contributed to rigidity in the caste system. Fine. So ఇది evolution of caste system right from early Vedic period to the medieval period or to the modern period. Fine. And modern, sorry, to the ancient period. Medieval and modernity ki vaste, we have made our caste system more rigid because of invasions. Okay, invasions valla emaindi ante these kings who are mostly Mughals, the Muslims, they have come to India and they wanted to expand their religion, the religious prospect, but our priests, they have made this caste system more and more rigid so that our ladies cannot marry them and our religion won't get polluted as per them. It is not as general, but as per the priests, they didn't want the caste system to get polluted, and that is the reason they have made it more rigid. Fine. So this I have talked about the origin of Indian caste system 1, and also the various sets of castes which were there in the starting. Okay, later I have talked about the evolution of various castes from the person who is called as Vitara Purusha. Okay, and then this I will move on to the studies on caste system. As I have told you, India ki caste system is highly important to Indian society. Indian society caste system is highly important. Okay, there are a few important people who had taken up studies on this caste system. One of them is Ghure, G.S. Ghure. He is an Indian born sociologist. He is an Indologist. Term అవసరం లేదండి మీకు. Indologist he is. Term meaning అవసరం లేదు, but Indologist is a person who studies about the social features of India. Okay, so he had made a basic or an extensive study about the caste system in India in two books mainly. First is Caste and Race in India, which had started or which was published in the year 1932, and Caste, Class and Occupation, which was published in the year 1961. Match the following లో వచ్చే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి. ఈ బుక్స్ అన్ని మ్యాచ్ ది ఫాలోయింగ్ లో వచ్చే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయండి. ఫైన్. బుక్ యాజ్ యూజువల్ అండ్ ది ఇయర్ ఆఫ్ పబ్లిషింగ్ ఆఫ్ దట్ బుక్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఆస్క్డ్, బట్ యూ మే బి గివెన్ దట్ G.S. Ghure, Andre Beteli, fine, M.N. Srinivas, and it may be any other person, maybe Ambedkar or Gandhi, and you might be asked to match the books which they had written. Fine. So please do remember these. Next it is Andre Beteli. Okay, Andre Beteli he is not Beteli or Beteli. He is Andre Beteli. Okay, Andre Beteli he is. This person has written various books. Okay, he is a foreign originator. Fine, he came from Europe and he had studied our society. Okay, and one of the basic and important books written by this Andre Beteli, yes, is Caste, Class and Power in the year 1965. Okay, and then the other book he had written is Equality and Universality. This is also about the caste system in the year 2003. Fine. And he has talked about the ascribed status. నేను ఏదైతే ascribed status అని చెప్పానో దాని గురించి తను 1983లో రాసిన ది ఐడియా ఆఫ్ న్యాచురల్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్ అనే పుస్తకంలో చెప్పారు. ఐడియా ఆఫ్ న్యాచురల్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్ అంటే by birth I am unequal when compared to any other person. Why that inequality is there? That is because of my birth. Okay, our reason and our specific study ni tanu 1983 lo rasina the ideas of natural inequalities ane book lo he had written. Andre Beteli it is. Very important topic, highly important ఎందుకు అంటే this person MN Srinivas, he had mentioned or he has quoted various terms with regarding to the caste, and also